Hey guys, Modelling Weekly here. Well, I'm back with another video, and this time it's in 4K Ultra HD. I really hope you enjoy this one. This time I'll be fully building Eduard's Bf109G-6 in 1/48 scale, flown by the German fighter ace Friedrich-Karl Müller. Enjoy! As this is the weekend edition of the kit, there are no masks or photo etch parts included. I did, however, order a small fret for the cockpit. Included in the kit is the usual Eduard deal, consisting of dark grey styrene sprues, a clear sprue, the decals, and a lovely glossy instruction booklet. The plastic parts themselves are absolutely beautiful, which is what I've come to expect with Eduard kits. Every single rivet is recessed and included in the kit, with little to no flash around the parts, despite the tooling being around 5 years old now. The clear parts are also of a wonderful standard, with no scratches or imperfections to be seen. There is even rivet detail around the canopy struts. The kit includes Eduard's homebrew decal sheet. They aren't bad at all, though you may want to sand them down a tiny bit if you feel they are protruding from the surface too much once applied. Now for the build. All of the parts were removed from the sprues using sharp side cutters to avoid any damage to the parts. They were then glued in place with Tamiya's brilliant extra thin cement. CA gel glue was used for the photo etch parts, providing a good, strong, flexible join. With the cockpit all put together, it was given a base layer of RLM76 black grey. I didn't bother priming the cockpit this time, as the black grey colour wouldn't have any trouble going down over the photo etch parts. Additionally, a primer layer could have affected the detail in some areas. Some basic highlights were added using Mr.Color Grey Violet, a slightly lighter grey than the base coat. Various acrylic colours, along with a fine brush, were used to pick out the various raised details in the aircraft's cockpit. With the painting done, all the coloured photo etch elements could now be added. Some basic chipping was applied using a rough sponge dipped slightly in Vallejo Aluminium. This is by no means a hyper-realistic effect, though it will be hardly visible with the fuselage put together, so I didn't want to spend too much time on it. Some other details were brought out with a basic Tamiya dark brown pin wash, and excess was cleared up with a white spirit. The pitot tube supplied in the kit was promptly snapped off, so I replaced it with an Albion Alloys brass tube, which is not only stronger but more realistic with a hole in the end. With no canopy masks included in the kit, this had to be done manually. Whilst this may seem daunting, it can actually be pretty relaxing and very easy at the same time. The model was primed with Mr.Surfacer 1500 Grey primer, which is a brilliant self-leveling primer that can be easily sanded smooth once dry. For this model, I decided to go ahead and add some pre-shading. This would later be combined with post-shading, creating a very deep level of variation in the paintwork. The first camouflage colour to be laid down was RLM65 along the sides of the fuselage. In order to add post shading, a tiny bit of white was added to the RLM65, giving it a slightly lighter tint. The rivet and panel lines were used as guides when applying this. With the light blue masked off, the next colour to go down was RLM75 Grey Violet, as this was the lighter shade out of the two main camouflage colours. Again, this was applied gradually, making sure not to fully obscure the pre-shading underneath. After a bit more masking, the next colour of RLM74 Grey Green was sprayed on. It was now time for the mottling. This was probably the aspect that required the most precision and patience, so I couldn't get much footage of it. However, what I did film pretty much explains the process. It was mostly a case of gradually building up colour along with extreme trigger control. The underside of the aircraft was solid black. On the face of it, this doesn't seem like a big issue, though it makes it a lot harder to add extra tone and weathering without it being completely obscured. I did manage to add some extra range though, with a slightly lighter grey tone later on. The red squadron stripe on the rear of the fuselage was applied over a white base layer in order to achieve the correct shade. The red itself was a mix of Tamiya XF-7 and XF-9. With all the painting down, the model was given quite an ample layer of Alclad II Aquagloss varnish, allowing it to self-level into a smooth surface. The decals were then applied with the usual combination of microset and sol. A nice flat coat of XF-86 followed the decals, preparing the surface for weathering. A matte surface is perfect for applying oil paints onto, as it allows them to blend and soak in like a sponge. Weathering was initiated with a dark brown oil wash applied to all of the panel lines and rivets on the surface. This was removed soon after with a white spirit dampened brush, blending in the excess. A tan-coloured oil wash was then applied to the underside. This was the ideal colour for a black surface, as it's not only a nice warm colour, but it gives an idea of dirt built up over time. All of the upper control surfaces were given highlights using blended oil paint. This helps to give more dynamic range to the surface, as well as emphasising the difference between the wings and the control surfaces themselves. Some basic chipping effects were added near the wing roots with a fine brush using Vallejo Metal-Color Aluminium. All the weathering was locked in place with a nice final coat of XF-86 flat clear. The propeller was first based with white, as it would soon be masked to create the swirl shape common on German fighters. The swirl mask itself was cut by hand using the supplied decal as a guide. With all the external elements added, here is the completed build. Given the challenging nature of this aircraft's camouflage, along with my inexperience with modelling, I'd say it hasn't come out half bad. The fade between the camouflage and the black underside could probably have been a little smoother, as I'm pretty sure I was spraying at an unoptimum air pressure, though it's not the end of the world. There are a couple of other areas that I feel would benefit from improvement, though all in all I'd say it's not bad by any means. I really hope you enjoyed this video, especially in 4K, as I know that my storage space didn't enjoy it that well. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like, as it really helps out the channel, and if you didn't enjoy, leave a dislike and explain why in the comments. I hope to catch you all here next time. Bye!